the house is right behind. It's really close to the wall because the wall goes in a curve like that. And I knocked at the person's house to be like, excuse me, I want to ask you something because your house is really close from the wall. I want to do an art project. He's like, oh, I follow you on Instagram. like, no, I don't think so. I'm a French artist. I think so. And then she put on the Wi-Fi and we looked. And then she was like, oh my God, if you wanted my house to do any project, please. And I was like, oh, thank you. I mean, I don't know if it would work, and I remember the whole time there was this little kid looking at me in his crib. And then I left the house, I started driving, following the wall back to Tijuana, and then on the way I was like, damn, that's the kid. Every day he's from that house, looking over the wall, but not having any perspective, political perspective over that. He's just looking, at the view in front of him. He don't see any wall the way we see it. And I went back, I asked her if I could photograph her kid. And she said, sure. I said, look, I have to build the wall bigger than the wall to make it look ridiculous. And that's how we built the little kid. And we were together with Lauren that day. And so I was on the other side when we were finishing, came back from, and on the US side, because this is on the Mexican side. And then literally that was on day one. There was actually nobody because no one knew. And we just posted that image and where we haven't even finished it. And then by the next day, hundreds of people started coming. And I remember we were there, I went back on the US side and we were talking to a few people and then people from the Mexican side started arriving. And you remember, Lauren, we were there talking with them through the fence. How ridiculous was the situation? We were integrating a piece where we were all talking through the fence. Anyway, what happened throughout that month that the piece stayed up is that I never went back, but hundreds of people went back every day. And I keep hearing stories that people were passing phones through the wall and to ask the other to take a photo of themselves. And I was like, wow, and the Border Patrol do nothing? And a lot of journalists reported on it, and they said, no, actually, it's amazing. There's like every day hundreds of people talking to each other. And that's actually the heart of my work. It's not to build big images. It's the excuse to bring people back together. Especially on the US side where no one really, there's a few bikers that pass there, but it's not as crowded area as on the Mexican side. So we started brainstorming about a quite impossible idea. That was not that long ago. I think it was 20 days or something like that ago that we started brainstorming, and we've done it almost like 10, 15 days ago. To do, how we do in the art world, often they like to do a big dinner at the end of an art piece, So we were like, why don't we do one to close this piece? And it would be great to make a big table and that go from one side all the way to the other side. And that for a moment, we don't see the wall. And
great.
There's all the signs for it to be impossible. First, we asked on the US side because it would be bringing a lot of people, and they say, if you do that, we're going to close the road, we're going to arrest everybody, and it'd be a disaster. They send a lawyer later. That was the 2 days before we went there. And we have already, Lauren had put me in touch with a woman, a dreamer, here in San Francisco. I came and met her, and I told her, I said, look, let me explain to you, because she had no idea about my work, and we just, you just put us in touch. I remember I was like, this is the idea, I want to build a table, I want your eyes to be on it. And she said, well, it's actually interesting because I have a sleepy eye. And it's because of the fact that I'm in the United States that I could actually you might phrase it better.
No, you're exactly right. But even more profoundly, it was because she received DACA status and was able to work that she received health care, that she could get the surgery to correct the lazy eye.
Which is the one that you see on the right side of the image on the US side. Now what happened is I told her, this is illegal, so you might not want to come to that, And actually, we decided the day before to actually invite nobody. because I was like, damn, if I announce it, they're going to block the roads and no one will be able to come. Now, what we've done is we did build the table on the Mexican side, and on the US side, we bring a big tarp. And the only thing I put the day before is I said, tomorrow is the last day to see the piece. And we thought that it would be great to do lunch at 1. I can tell you that at 12:30, there was nobody. And I remember sitting on the side of the piece being like, damn, maybe we should have announced it. There was literally nobody. Then as soon as I started people coming with their cars to see the piece, I was like, wait, can you wait? We're going to do something, a surprise. Can you just wait now that you come all the way? And in 30, 40 minutes, we started to have 30, 40 people, and then same on the Mexican side. And that's around 1:30, so an hour after, when a lot of people were there, we took the table on the US side out, and then the music started. We put a band, half on each side, the same band, so they play the same music. We shared the same food and the same water during a couple of hours. And you know what happened when the Border Patrol arrived? He actually came, he looked at all of it, and he came and cheered with me a cup of tea. I was on the Mexican side.
JR, that makes me wonder, do you think, by and large, your art tends to inspire people who already believe one way, or do you think you're actually able to change minds of people who feel differently?
I think it's a good question. I think by my work, I'm trying to even prove to myself that the limits are not where I think they are. And by doing that, I hope it does the same thing to other people. That's why I've been working on the sides of favelas, on the rooftops of slums in Kenya, in Liberia. I was just in Somalia a couple of months ago. I always try to go in places where everybody tells me that's not a place for art. Art should not be there. And then when I go there, I find a complete different situation. The reality, of course, but people telling me, yes, we do need art. Art is food for soul. Art is, is dignity. If we lose art, we lose humanity. And that forced me to, always change. Even here talking today at Salesforce, I have to say I've never done any talk at any corporate meeting in my life, But then I'm here the last few days, and I'm like, wow. Every single person that went on stage from the company or from outside the company, they talk about how do you help the other in your work, in your life, and it inspired me. It changed my perspective on how I saw corporate, from the outside.
All right.
Oh, interesting. So you got changed.